Hello, Titans fans. Welcome to episode 129 of the Two Tone Crew. We are the official podcast of TitansReport.com. I am John Boy, one of your hosts here tonight, and we've got a full crew tonight. Jamal, welcome back.
Thanks, John. Nice to be here.
And Scotty's here once again.
What's up, guys?
And also we got Josh back this week.
Hey, good to be here.
Well, guys, we've talked about this game for a while. We pointed at it on the schedule, how important it was. A lot of talk this week across a lot of even national media about how big this game was and about how it seemed that the Titans were starting to turn the corner. And it just doesn't seem like we're there yet after the way this game went down. And I don't know if you guys have read a lot on the message boards. I haven't read too much since the game ended, but I think we always try to look for immediately for someone to blame or a unit to blame. And this week, I don't know. I just feel like they kind of just got beat. I don't know that there was one glaring area where I thought, oh, man, that really killed them, other than, you could say the secondary, especially early on. It was just a frustrating loss. I mean, they just straight up got beat. They got down 21, and in this league, that's just too big of a hole most times. And the Colts, I mean, we just have to admit they have our number. It's the strangest thing. We bring out the best in them every time we seem to play. I mean, the Colts have not looked that good all season, especially the first time they played us. And it just seems that we bring out the best in them. And at the end of the day, Titans came back and made it close, but couldn't get it done. And as a fan, I mean, it's frustrating because we've talked for weeks how much we needed this game. And with three people, it's hard to know who's going to jump in there next. So let's throw it to Jamal. You weren't here last week. What's your general thought and feeling right now? I mean, I'm super frustrated. It's just really hard to put into words, honestly.
I mean, I can put it into words. I guess if I step back from this game, it's less frustrating. If I look at this game, it's very frustrating. I mean, that's the fewest points the Colts have given up all year is us. And just last week on TitansReport.com, Scotty, and I think rightfully so, said, hey, this offense is a juggernaut now because we had done so well for so many weeks. And then we go out against the Colts in a must-win game and just lay a dud offensively. I mean, it's frustrating. But then you step back, and I think people just get caught up too much. I mean, the yo-yo effect of fan freaking out and then just being like uber confident that we figured it out. It's been like every other week, we win or we lose, and then everybody's either complete panic or like complete joy. And,
Yeah.
And it's interesting to observe, and certainly I probably partake in it as much as anyone as well. But you step back, and we are improving. We're just a mediocre team now. And mediocre teams, sometimes you play really well, and sometimes you play not so well. And this is one of the not so well games.
Yeah, it's like we go from playoffs to fire malarkey, fire them all, playoffs. Oh, here we go, fire malarkey.
And you said you haven't been on TitansReport.com much. One of the first threads after the game was one of those, this is one of the games that shows you why malarkey needs to go. That was one of the first threads that popped up. So,
oh man, I mean that's part of the reason I'm not reading as much. I mean, I've skimmed over a few things, but it's just you say things right after a loss because it is frustrating. But I think you posted this a few days ago, Scotty, to where if the Titans win this game, then that probably means they were just accelerated a little bit faster than we were thinking. But it still doesn't change the fact that they've improved. And as Jamal just said, mediocre, it almost sounds negative. But when you consider that they were just flat out bad last year, mediocre is an improvement. I mean, fans hate to hear that, but considering where they were, they're definitely improved. But again, it doesn't really help you on a day like today. I hear you thinking, Scotty.
Yeah, Scotty.
You're just working up a thought.
No, I just think the Colts look like they were coming off a bye. Now they've won 4 of their last 2 games. I mean, they're 4 and 2 in their last 6 games now. The Titans were probably up a little too big for the Green Bay game, looking back, all the this is a statement game and stuff. Probably should have just been more of a regular game, and the Green Bay game seemed like the Titans were down a little bit early, and like you said, John Boy, I mean, I really can't blame anyone for the loss. Everyone had a part in it. There was mistakes at the wrong time, and
Yeah.
Andrew Luck had another great game. I mean, every time they're going to sack that guy or something, he makes a play, man.
Yeah, first half especially, he was – I mean, they scored in their first 3 drives, I think, and we did not. I noted as I was watching the game, I jotted down some notes, and on the Titans' first drive, Malarkey, we know how he loves to receive, so we receive, and we go 3 and out. We had a 3rd and 2 and didn't convert. It was great coverage. Maybe Mariota – I mean, he went to the right guy, but it was just good coverage. They batted it away. And we failed to convert a 3rd and 2, and then the Colts get the ball and they convert a 3rd and long. And that just kind of set the tone for the day. We didn't convert the 3rd and short. They convert the 3rd and long. And the next drive, I think that's when we tried to get the running game going. Stuffed. Colts get the ball back, score again, and all of a sudden you're in this 14-0 hole, and pretty quickly it got to 21-zip.
The shocking thing was how they dominated the Titans' offensive line.
Yeah.
Both ways. I mean, stopping the run and putting pressure on Mariota.
I was going to ask you guys, what do you think's going on there? Because it seems that, I mean, everybody's talked about how well our offensive line has played. Jack Conklin, Taylor Lewan both gave up their first sacks today. What is it about the Colts that they just seem to, I don't know, they just have this line figured out, or is it just a bad matchup? I don't know.
I mean, go ahead. Just guessing. They have a smaller, very fast front and division opponent that knows. They know the Titans well. They study them in the offseason and stuff. And I'm just guessing they know what the Titans are going to do. And those fast guys like Robert Mathis give them trouble because they're big guys. They maul people and they struggle with the quicker, fast guys, I guess. But they did it both games, so it's not just a one-game anomaly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say there's a theory on TitansReport.com that it's just hard to play with a horseshoe up your butt. But that was Manning Envy who posted that. So shout out to him. He's still around because we can't beat the Colts.
I mean, it really is kind of amazing, the streak. It's unheard of in the NFL. You see things like that in college all the time. But for a team to beat another team 11 straight times, that's insanity. I mean, I don't know. It's going to take some kind of weird, fluky thing. I don't ever see us just going in and dominating to beat the Colts. It's going to take us avoiding, like today, we got down 21-0. I was like, it would only be fitting for us to end the streak coming back from 21 down. We're going to have to overcome some obscure, weird occurrence to be able to beat these guys. Because before this game, if you'd said Mariota's going to throw for almost 300 yards, Titans aren't going to turn the ball over at all, he's going to have 2 touchdowns, I'd probably feel pretty good about our chances to win because turnovers have really been our Achilles heel all year long. But this week, I think we had over 100 yards worth of penalties. Sometimes those penalties were at incredibly crucial times. There were 3 plays really. I couldn't really point to one player, but there were 3 plays that I noted in hindsight that ultimately made the difference. The Delaney penalty, getting us knocked out of field goal range, that was big. I don't know what was said, if it warranted a penalty or not, but that's inexcusable on his part from a veteran leader. You can't have that happen. Knock us out of field goal range. The other one, Cox's missed deflection on the touchdown. I mean, that ball goes right through his hands. He was trying to get an interception. Batted away. Just don't let them get that score. I mean, that
it was fourth down too. That's
right. Yeah, you don't even need the interception.
Yep, just knock it down and you got the ball.
And then the final play I pointed to was just the final 4th and 1 for a team that's built to run the football. It's the ultimately demoralizing way to lose. Not to be able to run and get a 1 yard. Actually, they had 2 4th and 1s on the drive, and the other 4th and 1 they converted. And
So no.
yeah, the the pass that I think it got tipped a little bit on the right.
Yeah, it was to Matthews, wasn't it?
The first down, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I was referring to the Fasano penalty on the Mariota run.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna add that play to John's list. That's another backbreaker that Mariota got down, I think, inside the 5-yard line, didn't he?
Yeah, it was pretty close.
Yeah, pushes back. It was 2nd and 9. Yeah.
Yeah, that made it 2nd and 9. And some people are gonna critique the play calls. I'm sorry, but you got to be able to get a 4th and 1 with running the football, with the way you built your team. I did think it was weird that they ran on the left side where Lawan was out of the game, but again,
I think he could have got it if he hadn't knocked it out. Jumped outside. It looked like he possibly could have came close to getting it. He bounced outside for some reason.
Yeah, it was weird. I haven't rewatched it, but when he first got the ball, I thought, oh, he's got room. He's got the yard easy. And then all of a sudden he's, bouncing it outside and not even close. Not one of Murray's best games, especially the first half.
Yeah. In terms of play calling, it's funny because you can't just, we've talked about it before, you can't just convert to a totally different offense, right? We're designed to run the ball. And people want to say, why are we trying to run the ball early? Because that's what we're designed to do. That's the offense we run. And that sets up the pass. That long touchdown pass, these things are happening because we stick with the run even when it's not working.
That was a great play call, that 3rd and 1.
Absolutely.
The only thing I'll say about that, and I posted this in the post I made, I kind of think they should have come out and done play action earlier. The Colts are completely geared to stop the run. I think they could have conceivably hit some big play action passes early and then got the running game going off of that. But, they should still be able to run the ball in the Colts.
That might be the most baffling thing. The Colts just are not a good defense against seemingly anyone else. But
every time they ran a play action pass today, the long one to Matthews was a 35-yarder. It was off play action. The TD to Sharp that you were just talking about, play action. They had several of those in the second half, and they were all.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could have came out and did that from the beginning.
Yeah, it's hard when you when you go 3 and out, you just don't have very many opportunities for plays. But they could have done it in one of their first plays, a couple of plays, I guess. But I don't know. Some of it's just like bad luck, right? Like I want to be able to say, like, put my finger on something, but you just can't win them all. And if you have plays that you just don't execute well and the other team executes well and you just line them up back to back, it builds momentum and it just changes the course of the game completely.
Yeah. Only thing, I agree. It's just a matter of sometimes it does come down to bad luck. Only thing I would say on that is just there's no way you should get down 21-zip in this game. The Titans came out flat on both sides of the ball, and I don't know if that's and Malarkey took blame for that. He said that we were outcoached and outplayed in the beginning of the game, and they were. For whatever reason, they did not come out to a fast start. Maybe it's like you said, Scotty. I don't know why they would place more of an importance on the Packers game than this one, but they came out very flat, and the Colts made them pay, and ultimately it was just too big of a hole to get out of.
The trick play too, the Colts ran. That was a great play, honestly.
Kind of play you implement in a bye week.
Malarkey almost seemed convinced that it wasn't designed to go to Gore.
Who knows? But I thought that they set it up to make it look like it wasn't going to, and it just.
That's what I thought.
They tricked him and went underneath, and he had all the room to run. Is what I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was intentionally kind of looking him off like that, looking like he wanted to go deep.
It's interesting. Andrew Luck had 262 passing yards. T.Y. Hilton had a 50-yard play. Frank Gore had a 49-yard play. And Dorsett had a 50-yard play.
Yeah, I was going to say they had 3 50-yard plays, basically.
And the Titans have not – the defense is much maligned, but they've done a pretty decent job against those big plays this year.
Well, and I mean, you gave up 21 points early, but you only allowed 24 points total. That's not very much in a football game. The problem is you build a hole for yourself, and then you're playing out of a hole, and it does change the play calling and situational everything.
Yeah, if we'd came back and won that game, we would have had to talk a lot more about Derek Morgan and the defense in the second half. I mean, that guy looked incredible the second half. I don't know what I just don't know what it was, but he was playing lights out in the second half. There was one time this may have even been in the first half, but he kind of lined up off the line a little bit, right in the middle, and just totally destroyed the guy in front. And there were several times when he was pushing the man into Luck. I mean, he was constantly back there. And McCain had an up and down day, but you got to give him credit. I mean, at the end, they gave him a chance. They gave the offense a chance, and he made a great play on the ball, got the pick on Luck. And, I mean, we've been talking about this for weeks. If the Titans can win the turnover battle, and here we go. We win the turnover battle and still come up just short. But yeah, as bad as the defense was that first half, I definitely agree. I mean, 3 points in this whole final 2 quarters of the game, you got to give them credit for that. But it was, the hole is just too big of a hole. Ended up being.
Listen to Morgan's stat line. It's pretty incredible. 4 tackles, 1.5 sacks. He had 1 tackle for loss, and he had 6 hits on Luck.
Oh man.
Yeah,
he was constantly jumping out at me.
I think I saw Luck was pressured like 16 times out of his 28 dropbacks.
Yeah.
And we got to him some in the second half.
Hey, they got to him in the first half. He just kept completing passes as he got hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing that the more I watch him, the more it's like he navigates the pocket really well, and he is so strong. He's built totally different than Mariota. He's more like a Ben Roethlisberger build. He can take the hits and still throw it down the field.
He moves around like Russell Wilson in the pocket, but then he's like Roethlisberger. They can't bring him down. He's like deadly in there. He doesn't get enough credit really for what he can do in situations like that.
But it depends on who's posting the thread. But yet another week, I think it's worth noting the Andrew Locker thread or whatever, trying to compare him to Locker, and not the wisest of threads a couple of years ago.
Well, here's the problem with the stats. Like the final play that they needed to convert to end the game, they were all over him. He weaves in and out of the defenders, throws it back across his body. The guy's kind of got the receiver defended, but it's a 5-yard pass, but it's so much more than just a 5-yard pass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in that situation, man, backbreaker.
Josh, we never got your take. What was your take on the game, the team in general?
I think he may have had to hop off. I think we lost Josh. Yeah.
Where did he go? Okay.
Maybe we'll get him back next week. Yeah, I think he had a work-related thing he had to tend to. But yeah, the other thing I was going to say, we talked about Morgan having a fantastic game. Mariota was, let me see if I can get the numbers here. Yeah, we talked about the Colts getting a lot of pressure, and they got to him quite a bit. But against the blitz, he was 9 of 11, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns. he was great against the blitz today. And today was one of those games where the announcers kept talking about it. If the Titans had an improved secondary, that might have been the difference today. I don't know. It's because I really feel like we say it every week. We say it every year about how close we are to being able to win these games against the Colts. And we've always talked about protecting the ball and getting pressure. And the Titans did both of those things today and still come up short. And the Colts are still, just across the board, they're not a super talented team. They just have our number and always seem to, they're built for the Titans, it feels like. They're built to beat this team. Exclusively
they won 3 of their last 4 games and 2 of them against us. So and it's the first time this year, by the way, that they won back-to-back games.
Yep.
This is also the first time in like 5 weeks they haven't scored 30 points too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're a team. I wouldn't be surprised because now they're 5-5, which is what our situation was coming into the game. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they went on to win the division at this point.
I would make them the favorites probably. They're a much better team than the Texans. The Texans are not a good team.
I was going to say, as much as I can't stand the Colts, there's part of me that it's just a terrible injustice to the world if the Texans win this division.
Well, and the thing with the Texans against us is they had the tiebreaker most likely of division wins. I think the Colts, their only loss now is Houston. So they've beaten us twice and the Jags once. So they're 3-1 now. If they split with Houston.
They lost to the Jags in London, right? Or was that the Texans, the Jags?
No, they lost to the Jags in London.
So they're 2-2. Well, they can thank the Titans for existing.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot during the week on Titans Report about the playoff scenarios there, and it seemed I had felt for a while that kind of 9-7 would win the division, but based on the way the tiebreakers were starting to shake out and the fact that the Texans just kept winning and looking at the opponents, it looked like it was going to be really hard for the Titans to win it if it came down to 9-7. And yeah, the Colts, they're 2-2 in the division. Texans 3-0 in the division. Titans 1-3. Jags 1-2. So we fall to 5-6 on the year now. That one.
It's just really the early part of the season, the 1-3 start, really put them so far behind. That's why games like this are so important later.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I was thinking about this. So, what are the odds we have a better run game next year? Not that great. and it's not like the past game, especially of late, has been bad, right? I mean, it might be able to improve, but Mariota's been super efficient for the last bunch of games. So offensively, like when you look at it, what do we need to do better? Or is it just really going to come down to like game flow and also the defense needs to improve?
It's just the defense. They're going to run the ball. I guarantee you they're going to run the ball. Next year, I mean. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just what they're built to do. I mean.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm thinking. I'm just looking at it and I'm like, well, maybe we'll just be better next year. But then it's like, what are we going to do better offensively? We're not going to run the ball better next year probably. And passing the ball, at this point, at least statistically, we've got great stats passing the ball. It's not as high volume as some other teams, but super efficient.
Well, that's why they have to improve the defense and special teams.
Yeah.
And the special teams, Blake, come on, man.
And the turnovers, too. I mean, I know it didn't ring true today, but if we go back and look at so many of those losses, a lot of it was a result of turnovers. I think by and large in the NFL, if you win the turnover battle, you're going to be a lot better off. Like you said, today was just kind of bad luck in the fact that they won that and still didn't win the game. They did have a lot of penalties, though. I think we were penalized over 100 yards. I didn't see the final number, but I know it was over 100 at one point.
11 for 107, I think.
So, yeah, I mean, that's a lot of yards to get penalized out there. And, I mean, we already touched on a few of them, but a couple of them came at just absolutely crucial times. But yeah, looking at next year, I think a big part of it's the defense. I think a more offense that protects the ball a little bit better, and Mariota's already seems to be doing that. I mean, he's gotten better at that as the years gone on. And he had a lot of rushing yards today, too, and he protected the ball. On the sacks, I mean, you hate to say on the sacks, it was good he didn't fumble, but it was good that he protected the ball on the sacks.
Conceivably, if it keeps up like it's going, Mariota going into next year could, he could be one of the 3 or 4 best quarterbacks in the league. Mm-hmm. And if you improve the defense to where the defense is just solid, that would make a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Oh man, I just can't believe we've gone another year and haven't beaten these guys. It's unbelievable.
Also, Mariota had a higher passer rating than Luck, significantly higher, like 12 points higher, and they ran the ball.
Right?
They ran the ball. The Titans actually ran the ball much better. The Colts' rushing stats were terrible.
Terrible. Yeah, Gore had 18 carries for 50 yards.
Yeah, 2.8 a long rush of 8 yards.
Yeah, I was just glancing at the stats after this game. I'm like, how did we lose this game?
Murray actually ran the ball okay in the second half. He had decent stats in the second half.
Yeah, I never got around to posting it. My phone died at one point during the game, and I didn't want to get up just because I was watching my kids. I didn't want to get up and get the charger, but I thought during the second half, and it's interesting, then I went back and read through the game thread on titansreport.com, but I thought it was a great example of why you stick with the run, that they turned it around in the second half, and they started getting off some good, consistent yardage, and you saw the payoff with some of the touchdowns and stuff, or some of the chunk plays. I think this was a good example of why you can't just knee-jerk and say, okay, we're passing the ball every play because they shut down the run early.
I agree.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's people in the game thread in the chat room go crazy over one play. It's ridiculous.
No, I think part of it goes back to Malarkey knows that he's got to keep Luck off the field because he knows we don't have the corners. The announcers kept talking about that. I don't know if you guys keep your announcers on or what, but they kept talking about how in their meetings that Malarkey admits, secondary's our Achilles heel. We're gonna improve it in the offseason. That was even a line from the announcers today. And I think that's part of it. You have to stick with the run, and you have to try and keep him off the field because as great as Morgan and Arakpo, man, I thought that guy was held so many times today, but
he was.
Whatever. As well as they were playing up front, you're not going to be able to get to him every time. And he's one of those guys, like we were just talking about, he's going to make people miss and complete the pass anyway. So you got to keep running the ball. You can't just totally become one-dimensional and pass.
Can you imagine if the Colts actually had talent around Andrew Luck? It's kind of crazy to think about how bad their team is around him and how well he plays.
They've got some weapons, though.
Yeah, they have T.Y. Hilton. They've always
Hilton's
had,
good,
they had Reggie Wayne in the past. It's not like he's without a good receiver or two, but like in general, I'd say they have worse talent than us, even last year.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they did. But, I mean,
I'd
honestly,
take T.Y. Hilton over any of our receivers. But
oh, God. That's not
everywhere else, I like the Titans.
Ryan Matthews. Rashard Matthews continues to emerge. 13 targets today, 9 catches, 122 yards.
Yeah, I thought he was big. It's clear Mariota's looking to him a lot in a lot of situations, in big time situations when you need a completion.
Hey, Sharp's getting better too. I mean,
yeah,
he is. Last 2 or 3 weeks, he's been a lot better.
Yeah, he's definitely getting involved more in the actual pass game. And it's unfortunate he doesn't have a touchdown celebration worth noting, but maybe he'll get another opportunity or two and come up with something worthwhile.
Earlier, I mentioned those 3 plays that I picked out, and you guys really didn't have a chance to respond to 2 of them. But what did you all think about the Delaney penalty? I never heard anything specific on like what happened. It looked like he just said something to the ref, which is rare. It's really rare that you see a guy get a flag when he's not up in his face.
The announcer said, the rule is if you say something completely out of bounds, you get flagged.
Yeah.
But Malarkey was tearing him up when he came to the sideline. He was pretty pissed off about it.
Oh, man. One of the many times I don't make a bad joke. You'd be surprised how often, considering how many bad jokes I actually make. I have no idea what he said. I never really heard anything about it, and I didn't even see anything in the after-game quotes addressing it, really. So I'll have to go back and look a little bit more in depth, see if anybody asked him the question even. What did he say?
Yeah. And the other thing, a big negative out of this game, besides the loss, is Taylor Lewan went down. And seems to be a knee injury that they are going to conduct an MRI on. I don't know. Scotty, did you hear anything, if they gave any more specifics about if they think it's serious or not?
No, I haven't seen any updates. That's scary, though.
Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed in Spain's play, speaking of the offensive line. It was almost like, I don't know if it was just the opponent or what, but he seemed to be involved in more negative plays than I would have expected. It almost made me miss Schwenke.
Mm.
Yeah, but they all got beat today, though.
They did at times, yeah.
I thought going big and everything was supposed to like allow us to impose ourselves.
Well, typically a lot of these small, fast defenses give the big offensive lines trouble. It's it's later in the game after you pound on them for a while, but early in the game, those guys, they can get there before you can get on them and stuff. That they even I posted this. People were talking about Murray looks slower. They were running Mariota down too. I mean, there were several plays where he tried to escape the pocket and he couldn't get away from their speed.
It's pure conjecture, but I've felt that he doesn't look the same, but you can always see what you want to see. So who knows? He's not even on the injury report anymore. So I wouldn't say that there's any proof that he's slower. He just doesn't seem to have the same pop as he did early in the year.
He did have a 70-something yard TD run last week.
Well, he was on the injury report throughout the week. He's listed as a full practice on Thursday, but
I would have liked to seen Henry get some carries though, not because I think Murray needs to, just because I think Henry has a different style and he might could have been more effective against the Colts defense. He kind of has a squirt to him where he can pick between the lines and stuff. But I mean, they didn't have the ball enough in the first half. The opportunity just didn't really present itself. I don't think it was a big deal. He didn't get any carries.
I think in isolation, this game, it's not a big deal, but it's definitely a trend over the course of the year that in general, I don't mind them giving a bunch of carries to Murray, but I've thought it like airs even more to the side of exclusivity than I would have thought was wise. Seems like every game it's just surprising.
He's been getting more carries though. I mean, he was obviously out the one game, but he had 9 carries last week, and 2 weeks ago he had 16 carries. I mean,
those are the blowout games though.
Well, the Chargers would be 2 weeks ago, right?
Well, he didn't play in that. That's the one he was hurt.
That's the one he missed.
Jags was the blowout one.
Yeah. So when Murray, so those are the blowout games. I mean, it'd be interesting to chart it over time and see when did he start getting those carries? Were they mixed in earlier? Were they just all late once the game was decided?
No, he got the touchdown on the second series. I think it was the Jag game. He got on the second series. He played the whole series and he got like 30 yards in the touchdown.
Yeah, and then he disappeared from the field forever.
Right. He got like 5 or 6 of his carries on the second drive.
And just an update on Lewan, by the way, I pulled up the post-game quotes. All Malarkey said was they're getting an MRI, and it is a knee. They don't know how serious, so we'll just have to wait and see on that one. Supernall is in the concussion protocol after today. But those were the 2 injuries from today's game. Well, let's shift gears a little bit because this is kind of something we've been doing at the end of each episode throughout the week as we take a look at the schedule and kind of how things are shaping up. And I don't know that I think we can pretty much slam the door shut on the division at this point. But wild card's still a possibility. I don't know that I would say it's a strong possibility, but it's still a possibility. And the Titans can still finish successfully. They've got a somewhat favorable schedule. They got 5 games to go. I would say 3 of those 5. Well, 2 of those 5 will be favored in for sure. And by the end of the year against the Texans, who knows who will be favored in that one? Kind of just probably who's playing well at the time. So what are you guys looking for? I mean, out of these last few weeks, I don't want to totally dismiss the wild card, but it's not really my focus anymore. Whereas before I was kind of all focused on trying to make a push for that division. It is still possible. I mean, everybody looks at the Chiefs, Raiders, and Broncos and their record, but they still have to play each other a couple of times. And the Chiefs actually got beat today. So I think somebody said we need the Raiders to pretty much run away with the division and obviously beat the Broncos and Chiefs. So we still have them on our schedule. But coming up next, we've got a road trip at Chicago, which they actually came out and played pretty well at the start today against the Giants. They ended up losing it. But seems they haven't completely given up yet as you kind of look for a team that's been how they perform this season. It's going to be interesting to see how the Titans can bounce back because this is a game that they should have been, just really up and excited for or ready to play. And now when you start to see the playoffs slip away, how do the guys respond? How do they come out on the road at Chicago here going into our bye week?
Well, I think they just have to worry about the Bears. I mean, the Bears, if Cutler plays good, the Bears aren't a laydown. And let the rest of the games just fall where they may. There's nothing you can do about the games you lost.
Yeah.
They still got to try to get on a winning streak.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's the thing I'd like to see from them. And I don't know how it lines up. I think you have bad opponent, good opponent, off and on trading off throughout the rest of the year pretty well. But one thing this team hasn't done yet is get on a true streak of wins. I mean, we haven't been over 500 yet. There's part of me that's feels like it's a practical response, and I don't know if that's actually true, because changing the mentality and the culture matters. But like, if we're not going to make the playoffs, I don't want to draft in the middle of the draft. Just lose out, But that's probably not something I actually wish for. But
I would have said that in years past, but not this year.
Yeah, I think because it seems like one of their big things is mentality. They want the team to start believing they can. Malarkey seems to stress that in every presser I watch. So I don't think that would work. But I don't know. The rest of the year, what do you want to see? You want to see them continue to fight, continue to grow. You don't want to see a lot of regression in the offense. And hopefully you see Murray stay healthy and keep on keeping on, I guess.
Okay, you want to see Mariota continue what he's doing, which I mean, it looks like, we can almost say he's here. This has been so long now. I mean, I just can't imagine him slipping back. And Wallace, Byard.
Oh yeah, he was up today over.
He had a decent game too. He had a decent game too. He had like 4 tackles and a hit on the quarterback. You want to see
Byard, you were gonna say?
Yeah, you want to see the Rams lose every game because we can still root for Titan wins and still get an early draft pick.
Dude,
that's right.
The Rams game today just cracked me the heck up. Did you see that post I put in that thread where they charted the Miami drives?
Yes, that was great.
It was like punt, interception, punt, touchdown, and they won.
And they won.
My God.
Dude, there's something about the Rams. I don't know what it is. They're one of the strangest teams.
Their defense is dominating, but then they also blow it,
Hey, did you guys hear Fisher's top 2 all time?
Losses, yeah.
Yeah. He tied Tom Landry. I mean, that's a good name to be next to, right?
Sure.
He passed Dan Reeves.
I think he tied with Landry. I think Reeves is number 1, right?
Oh, is he number 1? I
think Reeves is number 1.
Yeah.
If Fisher losses. Let me search this.
Reeves never won the Super Bowl either.
By the way, I saw that Goff was, I think, 0 of 5 on passes over 10 yards in the air.
I didn't see it, but I read somewhere where he started out okay, but I only saw the last of the game. I saw the Dolphins score the last touchdown.
I didn't watch any of it, so can only say what I saw on Twitter.
They actually completed a pass on like the 6-yard line, and the Rams had the guy stopped. Like 5 Dolphin players got behind him and basically carried him into the end zone. I was surprised. I was surprised it wasn't a penalty, honestly.
Yeah, so Reeves is number 1, 165 losses. Tom Landry was number 2 with 162, and Fisher has 162 now.
So he's 3 away from tying the record?
Yeah, 3 from tying, 4 from setting the record.
Should look at their schedule, see if it's likely.
It's kind of hard, I think. The Rams right now, the Rams' first round pick right now would be the 7th pick, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So maybe you're right. Maybe I should just go ahead and let go of the idea of
Ooh,
Right. Yeah.
mid-round.
dude. Yeah. Listen, this is brutal. This is brutal. They go to New Orleans, to New England. They get the Falcons at home, to Seattle, then 49ers and Cardinals to close out. So they could lose 4 straight right here. They always play Seattle well, but at Seattle, I don't know that they play as
Oh,
well.
they're not beating
There.
Seattle with golf. Seattle's coming on too.
Yeah,
Yeah, they are.
They're hitting their
Yeah, they
stride.
Yeah.
They could very easily lose the next 4, and San Francisco beat them once already. So
Hey, that could be a top 3 or 4 draft pick, honestly.
I think it's
yeah.
hilarious they extended him. They officially did it, right? I think I remember seeing they finally officially did it. They extended Fisher.
I guess I saw kind of that they officially did, but then I heard people say, well, did they or didn't they? I don't know if they did or not.
Yeah, I can't. That was weird. I don't remember either, because I was kind of reading the same things. It seemed like they were, and then
They did the same thing with
official,
Michael Brockers, and they never really said if they did his or not either.
It'd be fun to go back and rewatch some of those things from Hard Knocks this year and see how the hype matched up. They're 4-6 now. Didn't Fisher have that thing where he's like, "This is not going to be a 7-9, 8-8"? It's like, well, you better start winning, buddy.
They also started 3-1.
Oh, did they?
They did. That's right.
Oh, Fisher. Yeah, they got clobbered by San Francisco week 1, and then they beat. Was it Seattle?
They won 2. Yeah, they crushed Seattle.
Yeah,
they won 3 straight games.
So I'm curious. I just want to check in, Scott. We're talking about kind of the outlook on the rest of the season. Given the way things have gone down, I think you said anything less than 10 would be a failure, anything less than 9 would be a failure.
No, he said 6 would be a failure.
Come on now.
6 would be a failure.
On. Don't make Jamal so happy and say I said anything less than 10.
Rewind the tape. He said it.
Yeah. I said I guaranteed they won more than 6 games, and 6 games would be a failure, which I still stand by.
Yeah, if they don't win another game, that's absolutely a failure, no doubt.
Well, they got to win. They got to win 2 more games.
Yeah,
I said 6 would be a failure. They got to win 2 more games, and they will.
What do you mean they got to win 2 more just
to get over 6?
Yeah, I said 6 would be a failure. 1 more game would still have them at 6. I still would call that a failure.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. Jeez, in my head, I'm thinking we already won. We're 6-6 already.
Right.
We just set 500 so often. Yeah, so 5-6 right now. 1 more would give us 6 wins.
If they don't make the playoffs, I mean, the record is actually not that big a deal. I care more about how they play, how Mariota looks, and how some of the younger guys look, and the draft.
I mean, here's what I'd like to see. They need to take care of business against Chicago. They have no business losing that game. Then they go into their bye. Then you've got Denver at home and at Kansas City. I'd love to see them beat those 2 teams, because even if those 2 teams aren't great teams this year, they're definitely above average, good teams. Whereas a lot of the teams we've beaten this year just really haven't even been mediocre teams. I think looking back, our best wins are probably
Miami.
The way it's looking now, Miami.
There's mitigating circumstances in every game. I mean, when we came back against the Lions, all those injuries are the reason we came back, as much as, Mariota going perfect for a couple of drives. Who'd we beat next? It was
Jags or the Browns.
We beat the Browns. They're winless. That means nothing. Miami came in reeling from I think injuries on the offensive line, and just in general, they weren't in a good spot. They've gotten hot since. That's probably our best win, to be honest. And then you've got the Jags, and you got the Packers. And the Packers, we all predicted a win because they were playing like crap. What's the score now tonight? Are they winning or losing?
Down.
Washington's up 16-10. But I will say this: the Titans beat some of those teams worse than anyone else did. I mean, they played good.
Yes.
Yeah, they did.
Well, and I think that's where I feel like people want to see something that, you can say, this means we're good. It's like, even I look at it for improvement. How are you trending? we talked about it a little bit. I was giving you a hard time about mission accomplished. I certainly don't think mission accomplished is appropriate, but the worst fears of the Mike Mularkey era haven't come to pass. So those are the things that matter. You don't need to go out and necessarily beat great teams. We're no longer losing to terrible teams all the time.
Yep,
and
that's
we're
it.
beating up on teams a couple of times during the year. Even if they're bad teams, we never used to do that. So that's improvement, and that's progress.
Well, the Vegas over and under line was 6 games, or I think 5.5 at some places. If you said, forget the playoffs and everything, before the season started, if you said the Titans would win 8 games and Mariota would have 100 passer rating and look as well as he had, you would say this was a huge success.
Yeah, I predicted 7 and 9, so that would be good for me.
I think the Titans blew some games and they could have been better. And I actually think the offense is fine. Mariota's done well in the offense. They can win with this offense. The defense is what they got to fix.
Yeah. I am curious to see what for a while, especially the first half of the year, it looked like wide receiver was going to be a huge need, but those guys are really coming on.
I'll go a step further on wide receiver. I don't even know if they have to sign Kendall Wright. Earlier it was like, they need to keep him around, but Matthews and Sharp are playing well enough. Yeah, you might can get a veteran. Yeah, if he wants too much money, you can get somebody else and be fine.
Yeah, and the thing with him is it's not like they're willing to, he had those couple of big games and we were thinking maybe he's the missing piece of this offense. They're not willing to give him a bigger role than slot guy. And he's he's not going to be a big impact guy in this offense consistently. And so, yeah, you don't want to sink a bunch of money into that.
If everything's going well, they're not going to play a lot of 3 wide receiver sets anyway.
Well, as we kind of wrap up here, one final thing I'll throw out. Did any of us pick Rashard Matthews to lead the team in receiving by the end of the year?
I didn't.
I don't think we did.
Sure, I would have said Sharp.
I think one of you said Sharp. I definitely said Delaney. I think Delaney's still leading, but it's got to be getting close.
There were people that picked Matthews, though.
On the board, yeah.
And, he was pretty popular when they signed him. Like Greg Cassell said, it was, I think, either the best or second best free agent signing of the offseason. Looks like it is now. Yeah, looks like now it is.
Okay, let's see. Here we go. So receiving catches, Delaney's got 42. Matthews has 36. Yards, Delaney has 571. Matthews has 483. So he's right there.
Do you think that includes today? Do you think they've updated that already?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if it includes today.
Because wasn't Murray at 930 before this game for rushing yards?
Yep.
Yeah, so this doesn't include today. So Rashard Matthews got close.
No, he's got 36. That's updated.
That's updated?
Yeah, it's got the Colt game.
So the receiving numbers are updated, but not the...
He's got 36 catches for 483 yards.
Because Murray definitely went over 1,000 today.
He's right at, I think he's 1,000 even.
Oh, really? Right on it. Yeah, because he had 70 yards.
I don't know if that's updated. Because this says 10 games played. What I'm looking at, 10 games, 36 catches. So I don't think
ESPN.
I'm looking at CBS Sports.
Okay, I'm on ESPN. Yeah, it's saying. So yeah, I don't think the receiving.
I'm looking at the game logs, and the last game is the Colts game that they lost today. So.
You're looking at game log. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, and it's got.
What are you, smart or something?
Every now and then.
Yeah, but it's definitely going to be close down the stretch between and hey, Sharp's even not too far behind. He's got 30 catches for 385. So
the thing is, Matthews' last 5 or 6 games though, he's just.
Oh yeah, he's tearing it up.
If he keeps playing like this the rest of the year, he'll run away with it.
Game logs for CBS Sports has him at 36 catches through Green Bay.
Matthews, that is.
Yeah.
I'm on the ESPN one. Maybe it's got the games on here, but maybe it doesn't have the total at the bottom. I'll figure it real fast.
Could be.
Yeah, who knows?
Regardless, it's close.
Either way, he's coming on
Richard.
for sure.
Yeah. All right, guys. Man,
did Richard miss a game then? I'm just trying to think about that.
I don't think he missed a game. He might have had a game with no catches, but
1, 2, 3.
Oh, he didn't get a touchdown today, though, did he? He broke his streak.
No, he didn't.
Well, it wasn't a streak, but he had 6 TDs in 6 games. So
didn't he go out at the 1 or something, and it was almost?
Yeah, he reached it. I thought
it warranted a review.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised they didn't look at it. I saw a screenshot someone had tweeted out that, I mean, it made it look like it was definitely worth a second look, but they didn't even look at it at all.
Yeah, Matthews has 45 catches. It's weird. It's got the game logs on here, and it's got every game, but at the very bottom, it doesn't have them added up. So he's got 45 catches.
All right, guys. Anything else as we wrap up here?
He's got 600 yards, too. He could conceivably get 1,000 yards.
I'm saddened, but I don't know. Doing this podcast helps me work through it. Hopefully it helps you, the listeners, as well. Ultimately, I'm just so sick of losing to the Colts. I can't believe I just can't believe it.
Well, and it'd be nice if they made the big turnaround and made the playoffs now, especially because we've talked about if you can run the ball in the playoffs, that means something.
It really does.
And so you could almost start convincing yourself, well, if we make the playoffs, we could make a run at this. That dream seems to be passing, so that's disappointing.
Yeah, but I mean, forget running the ball. I mean, Mariota. It's Mariota. It's not the running game.
In the playoffs, there's at least that stigma of running matters in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it helps, but I don't think enough can be said about how well Mariota's playing.
Yeah. If you're still holding out hope for playoffs, you need to pay attention to the Chiefs and Broncos mainly. And I mean, there are a couple other teams that are right there as well. Dolphins, we would hold the tiebreaker over them. Steelers are in the conversation because now the Ravens and Steelers they might be tied up again after today. But if you're looking at that Broncos and Chiefs division, Broncos and Chiefs still have to play each other twice. They have not even played yet, and they're both sitting at 7-3.
Up on itself,
yeah,
for sure.
They're both at 7-3. Then they have the Broncos have the Raiders to close out the year. Kansas City still has. I'm pretty sure they still have the Raiders one more time. Plus, the Titans have to play those two guys as well. So,
and San Diego's in their division, so they probably play them.
Yep,
San Diego's no pushover at all. So.
Stretch too.
This thing always the season always ends crazy, and these things always get jumbled up.
Yep.
There's a good chance that in the last couple weeks there's some crazy scenario, but as long as the Titans win games, they just have to win games.
Yeah. You just got to get on a winning streak. We've won 2 games in a row once this year. I think just one time. Yeah.
Yeah, the Browns and Dolphins.
The Browns, Dolphins were back-to-back. That's the only time we won 2 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Just that consistency. Got to be able to maintain it.
Yeah. I just thinking about it, I think the only thing at this point that would really disappoint me is if the wheels came off down the stretch. I mean, I don't even care about wins and losses. I think you just want to see them continue to play well and not regress as a team. If the wheels came off, then I might say the season is a big disappointment, but absent that, you got to look at this as a good season to build on.
Yeah, even after today, in terms of point differential, in the AFC South, Titans are still the only one with positive point differential. We're +6. Texans are -27. Colts are -10. Jags -72.
I think DVOA on Football Outsiders, I think the Texans are the 30th or 31st ranked team.
Oh my gosh.
And I listened to all the metrics have them way down. I mean, it's just fluky how they keep winning games. Osweiler had 99 yards passing last week in their win.
Right.
You know what's going to happen is Houston's going to win Monday, and we're all going to say, "What the heck, man?"
They could, because
they could.
a lot of people don't think the Raiders are for real either.
I've seen that too. Yeah. All right, guys. This has been episode 129 of the Two Tone Crew. Titans lose another one to the Colts. Nothing unusual there. 5-6 now on the season. We thank you all so much for listening to the show each and every week. And hopefully you stay with us. I know during times of when the Titans go down like this, it's hard to keep interest in the year. But at 5-6, as we were just talking about there, I mean, this is still a season that can be a success. And there are many things that we can kind of look at as we close out the year here. So you can reach us online in a number of different places. TitansReport.com is the main place. You can find us on Twitter at Titans Report. We have a Facebook page. It's just facebook.com/Titans Report. And let's see, which one am I missing? The voicemail line is 615-900-0282. The podcast is available for download on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Android, pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts. You can find our show. So please rate and review us. Let us know what you think about the show. And we appreciate all your support. We'll talk to you guys again soon.